There's this African saying that I found recently that says, if you want to go quickly, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go together.
Paden is very good at being a kind of a all-around at a bunch of stuff, so I think most of the work he actually does himself.
As soon as you're on a larger group, then all of a sudden you can extend your time frames and achieve much larger projects.
Paden in 5 words: very enthusiastic game dev nerd. Paden's got a office space that's kind of downtown. It's got this kind of cool, like, industrial feel to it.
I want to go visit the office because it looks like a neat office.
There's actually like some cross beams and stuff going through the space. It feels very nice for game development for some reason.
One of the cool aspects of the Nedap meetup is that we have a core group of guys that are pretty consistent at meeting.
Fortunately, these meetups have come about in the past 2 years or so that have made it a lot easier to interact and communicate with Nashville game developers.
Just a few developers to get together and talk about stuff, and I think that's usually what we have there, is maybe like 5 to 10 people just hanging out and like working on their projects, so I think it works well.
And so we're able to actually keep a track of each other's progress and our projects, which is really great, and help out whenever we can. Meetups are really dynamic. We support the community in any way we can, and so whatever the community is doing is kind of what the theme of the meetup is. If it's virtual reality, then that meetup is about virtual reality. If it's about someone shipping a new game, it's about that.
I'd say his position is one of kind of like a leader in Nashville.
How I got into game development is from a background of mechanical engineering, where I was really interested in, and I really enjoyed creating things physically, and then that just lent itself really well to creating things three-dimensionally, and really it was the art side that got me into it first, and then it was programming later. Why I'm here in Nashville for the game development scene was initially because I came from Montana, which I felt like the game developer in the entire state. But I moved to Nashville to help my sister with the music industry, which was really fun, and I just naturally kind of blended into the game industry.
I know he's really focused on trying to grow the Nashville game development community, and that's really his goal.
So he's one of the only people running a game publishing company in Nashville that I know. Nedap, his company that he releases games through, is one of the only kind of smaller indie groups that are constantly cranking out games.
Nashville's open enough, and I think it's growing fast enough that it's actually 2 or 3 years from now, I think it's going to be the norm to have a game industry in Nashville.
I've seen the game that came out of the little game jam that he had, the Bullet Hell Flyer game, which is awesome.
The tools that I use for creating video games is Unity 3D is our game engine.
If you have Unity questions, he's kind of one of the resident Unity gurus.
Blender for 3D, because it's so fast.
Paden's like a whiz in Blender. He's crazy fast, really talented there.
I think shortly after I showed him a few Rift demos, he was like, oh my god, this is definitely going to be one of the futures, like, directions gaming is heading, so he immediately bought a developer kit, the DK2 Oculus Rift, and he's been one of our best members. He's already cranked out 1 or 2 demos for the Rift, so he's very active.
The future plans for Nedap Publishing are definitely to move more from assisting the community and helping the community grow into actually producing titles that bring in enough coin to actually bring on crews full time. And we have a number of contracts actually in the works right now that'll make that happen. I think one problem that Nashville's had in the past with game development is they were focused on putting out one game and then getting sales from that one game from fans, which is great, but the problem is that we've found that that's not really effective. So what we're doing is we're switching gears a little bit, and we're turning it more into a marketing angle where we're contacting corporate clients and making a game around their company, and then getting like guaranteed sales of X amount of dollars, regardless of how many downloads it actually are, because it's an aspect of improving the brand of the company. Nedap changing gears to go after corporate clients is kind of a speculative move, but it makes sense. I think a lot of other studios in Nashville would benefit from that.
Someone trying to get into the local Nashville scene, I would suggest just coming to as many meetups as possible. The community is really growing, especially in the last 2 years.
Hang around people that you want to be like, where if you're a coder, you want to hang around like coders that are better than you, kind of like, and just ask questions and get to know them and get their mindset and their mentality behind programming. Not just what they know, but why they do what they do.
I would encourage people to reach out to Paden, I guess, if they have questions about game dev in Nashville. I think he's probably one of the best people you could talk to if you want to get into game development.
The best way to get in contact with Nedap Publishing is to go to the website, nedappublishing.com.
I want this meetup to be really two things. What it was when it first started, which was everybody's bringing in a game, everybody's like working hard to try and get stuff done, and we're bouncing ideas around, and if we have technical problems, we can bounce ideas off of each other and trying to help each other out, come up with marketing solutions, all that. And then the other part of it is kind of making a safe place for newbies to come and just kind of see what development is like.
I mean, it's kind of broad in the virtual reality sense because it's so new. So if you were to ask me what a game developer is, I think it's someone who makes a compelling interactive experience for someone else to then enjoy.